15th. It's a Wednesday, and the S&P was up 0.38%, or roughly 29 basis points. The Nasdaq was up 0.62%, but the NQ100 was down 0.28%, about 83 basis points, and the Russell was essentially flat, no different from yesterday. So if you remember my video from yesterday, we did have similar numbers here. But a big takeaway is the VIX did slide about 5%, and the S&P printed green. Did catch a bit. AMD was up about 2.5%. NVIDIA up about 4%. Dell up 7%. Microsoft and Salesforce down, both lower. Banks are at all-time highs. Crude up 21% off its floor, and it's still climbing. And the marquee IPO of the year sits at negative 41.5%. We did take QQQ 713 calls. I'll show you a short clip from this segment this morning here. Quite amazing. Members did do well. Some members did take these. Looks like Roshan here made $1,000. Looks like Killer Crow here made close to $650 on some of those calls. Looks like Chris made $1,237. And then we had Sweets over here, one of our millionaires in the Discord, made $78 on a put, $505 on a call, and he made $136 on a Amazon call. Executive Dave sent a testimony, and the chair didn't stop in a single word about Bruce doing and pushing prices back down. But forget the speeches and count the dots. 9 committee members on the most recent projection penciling in a rate of increase before the calendar flips. Not easing, tightening, quantitative tightening, yes. So the odds of that faded over the last 2 sessions because the data ran cool. So hold that thought for the next slide, because those odds faded for a reason. That's about to reverse. His own standard, which is very simple, one-off shocks don't steer the committee, which cuts both ways. A single bad week in the Gulf won't move them, but maybe months of expensive energy flowing through the numbers absolutely will. That's when everything starts to begin here. Obviously, right, June 14th, June 17th here. June 25th, Iran violates and hits our cargo ship here. 26th, 27th, U.S. strikes, tankers attack. July 6th, 3 commercial vessels hit. July 7th, ceasefire declared over. July 13th, blockade restarts. And then we have a gap fill on crude oil, 67.02, and we rebounded about 21.2%, and we're still climbing as we speak. With you here in real time. Obviously, I'm on the daily time frame. One of the favorite things I like to use is the 55 EMA. I feel like it's institutional. I do want to have that institutional support. So I'll go ahead and wrap this for you in real time. Obviously, on the daily time frame, we don't really see anything here from the Nasdaq. We just see a doji, which is an indecision candle. Usually, when you kind of look at candles here, if I look at these 2 candles, right, I have this candle here, I have this candle here, kind of like an indecision candle, right? It's just in the middle, right? Right here, candle here, kind of like an indecision candle here, right? It's a control bar. And then obviously over here, I have an indecision candle. Actually, this is, excuse me, a dragonfly doji, which is pretty bullish here. Right here, we do have what's forming to be an evening star here. They can come in all forms, shapes, and sizes. So imagine if, right, this chart pattern right here, you see this pattern right here, 1, 2, 3, right? Well, flip this upside down. This right here is the same thing as literally this right here. Candles look a bit different. You have a longer wick here, that's fine. You did penetrate the 55 EMA here. And then obviously we just have some bar coding. Candles are getting very tight, so something big is going to happen here. It's getting very tight to where something's going to give, and something's got to give. That's what a lot of people don't understand. So again, here on the daily time frame here on QQQ, not really paying too much attention. I'm just trying to look at my range, and I think one way that traders can really help themselves by getting out of crappy positions or not getting involved is by marking your levels. So watch me mark my levels here. One of the first things I'm going to do here for QQQ on the Nasdaq to get my levels here, I'm going to mark the top all the way down here to the bottom, okay? And one of the favorite things I like to explain every single day, and these levels work, are above this 50% line here, bullish, right, under it, bearish. Above it, bullish, under it, bearish, right? If you own this company, right, and then you start to gain traction, right, somebody else in control, right, so who is that person, right? Are you bull or a bear? So from just a base perspective to like where you broke out to where you kind of, where your bottom tick was, right? This is where your 50% line is here. And I'm going to start to mark these levels here for you so you can see them really clearly here. I have my RSI here as well. All this stuff you can find online. It's free. You don't have to use my indicators. You can use anybody's. But it's about how you use these indicators. And I tell people, if you can't read the chart, you can't read price action, you're going to have a very hard time using indicators. That's why you hear people say, oh, well, the guy's using like 15 indicators. I'm like, because it fucking works for me, you idiot, because I know what I'm doing. And maybe it doesn't work for you because you only give it a weekend while you're eating Hot Pockets in your mom's basement. Huh. Funny how that works, bruh. So if you go down here, obviously, right, so on a daily time frame here, I do have 55 EMA support here on the Nasdaq. Here's my levels here. If I just mark it down a little bit, one thing that I do want to pay attention to is on a weekly time frame, I'm very curious of how some of these candles look here. So I have what looks like a falling 3 here. So if you look here, right, so look at this chart pattern right here. That's a bearish reversal here. And a lot of people have a hard time following patterns here because they don't look identical, right? This right here is the same thing as what's happening here, right? It doesn't matter if it lags up here. If the candle comes up here, right, or comes close to it, that can constitute a falling 3 here. You can get your right shoulder and come all the way down here, right? But without losing you here real quick, I want to just point out something here. This is forming like this. How big was this move right here? I'm just curious, right? So again, free tool here on TradingView. What's the price range from top to bottom here? The bottom tick, bud. About 8%, bud. And then how big is this drop here? About 6%, okay? And so of these two drops here, now I'm very curious, right? Where was that 50% line for on the weekly on this candle here? So these two red candles here, I want to see, like, these are control bars to me. Can price get above this bar that pushes down viciously, okay? So right here, I really want to get over from a weekly perspective. I'm going to close on the Nasdaq above right here, 249, 30,249. Like, that's a level, really, in my opinion, we really do need to close above. You know, the goal of the market, right, is you want to create higher highs, not lower lows. When you start to, like, just chop sideways, that's where a lot of indicators get thrown off, and that's why a lot of people have trouble, right? So here's control bar 1, control bar 2. Right here, gonna mark it red as well. So it looks like a really good liquidity spot, probably a golden pocket, frankly, if you were to drop it down on different time frames here. So from an NQ like daily perspective here, you don't need a bunch of indicators. In fact, if you just take all of them off here, excuse me, let me get my drawings back on here. These are the levels that you need. And you can see that they're very liquid here. So if I were to be approaching a chart here, you know, for the Nasdaq, one of the things I want to pay attention to, and I'll just clean off these fibs. I'll just delete some of these. So let me get rid of that. Let me get rid of these bars here. Let me get rid of this. One of the things that I think you really need to pay attention to, and there's other indicators here, like there's rate of change here. Again, if you are needing help understanding what indicators to use or like what they mean, just join the Discord, links in the description. Full disclosure, it is interview only. We do have a waitlist that is going out here. The next waitlist won't be until September. So make sure that when you do get those emails that you do sign up, you have about 48 hours or so to respond here. So when I look here at the chart here, right, all I see is kind of a head and shoulders. And what I see here is multiple head and shoulders here. So, you know, you look at a head and shoulders here, right, left, head. You can argue this is right over here. Just fuck it, call this right. Here's a pivot here. You drop, right, came back up, tried to create an inverse here. You did create one, came up here, failed here. But without making the chart all messy, I want to show you guys what zones can you be getting involved in that are really high probability zones. Where do you go down and up at, right? So when you're in the middle of a move here, where you say, oh, price is crashing, the number one mistake traders make is they try to get involved right here. Well, bro, that wasn't the zone to get involved in. Why should you have your levels marked out? Look here. You couldn't got involved up here. You would have known. Right here is a really high probability zone. Before you came back down here, right, you had, and where your biggest movements too, so right, on these levels here, you can go down on any of these levels here, right? Obviously, you can see down and up. But what levels have like the most liquidity to where you actually get a move that's not choppy, right? To where you can actually hold, you know, end of day, right? So obviously right here, when you drop your fibs and you kind of just look at your levels here, you can kind of understand maybe where you should and or shouldn't get involved here, right? So right here, you can kind of see here on the chart, right? This is where you're literally dropping. This is literally where you can get involved. Again, right, my standpoint is, right, the market's already rigged against you. It's already like not a 50-50. So why do we need to make it like a 70-20 against me, right? I want to make it a 50-50 or in general, like a Fibonacci, have it like kind of in my position, my power, so I'm not making mistakes. So when you don't get involved here, right, think about that as a 50-50, right? Measure the move from up top here to down to the bottom tick. So from the move up here to down here, how big was that move? About 5%. Okay, where are you at on the 5%? You're about 2%, right? And sometimes you do retrace, you do come back up here. So imagine, right, the principle is you got involved right here. Maybe that was right here, right? Maybe it was over here, right? But what's the point? You already missed the majority of the move by not being active on the chart, having alerts set, and being involved. So I don't want to get involved in a war zone. Like all this stuff here, I want the market to figure it out. All this stuff here, I want the market to figure it out. All this stuff here, I want the market to figure it out, right? Right? I'm going to get involved with the levels that make the most sense to be drop and there's follow through. I don't want to drop like this. And this is where people get in trouble, right? A drop like this to this, right, is like maybe like 100%, maybe 200%. A drop from like here to here is like 1,000, 2,000%. And those are the plays that I really like to look for. They're high probability setups. And they happen, honestly, quite often in this market. That's the thing I love about volatility here. So this is my chart here for NQ. These are my levels. You can timestamp them. You can take a screenshot. If you want, you can join the Discord again. It's interview basis only. That way you can get my levels. That way you don't have to do the work. But I really do enjoy teaching people. Obviously here on the chart as well, you have a lot of other things going on here. So I really don't like talking about the market overnight. There's so many things that can happen by the morning to where obviously levels are going to level. They always do level. But for me to kind of say NQ is going to go up here, it's going to go down here, it's disingenuous. I can definitely give you levels up here. I have for the past several videos. They all panned out. But one thing I really would like to practice on is just look at the chart, enjoy it, know your levels, have your levels ready by market open. Your homework tonight, I challenge you as traders, is have these levels marked out. Have them marked out. Stop waiting for the market to occur for you to start marking all these levels out. You're late. There's someone out over here overnight working. If you care about your money, you want to make money in the market, you need to get your shit together. Is what you need to do. So maybe take trading a bit seriously. Maybe have your levels marked out, because it ain't that fucking difficult. And then you're going to be able to talk about the chart nonstop like me, and that's what I'm trying to teach you. It's like sometimes I have to force people to listen. I'm like, guys, the answer's right in front of you. We did great today. Members did good today. People who paid attention did good today, right? You know, go through my channel, right? It's just nonstop bangs. Look at this. Bang, 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 right? It's nonstop gains, 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 gains. Look at that. Gains in your face, baby, gains. So if you want to join a group that actually knows what they're doing, account pass, right? Lock in. Stop going to people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. You got motherfuckers out here selling a dream who are trying to fucking live the dream themselves. If you guys have any recommendations or any other charts that you guys want me to go over here in the future, just let me know. These are my NQ levels. I'm gonna go over here to ES, kind of do the same here. So we're gonna go to the base. You're gonna go to the weekly time frame here. Gonna mark this chart off right here. And I actually already have my SPX levels over here. Let me find them. Okay, never mind. I guess I don't. So we have ES over here. Let me go to SPX though, just to get these levels. So here are my SPX levels here. Nothing's really changed here. Again, notice how my chart's already pre-made. Nothing that really needs to change here. We did drop down about, we closed here on the SPX here at 7572 here. So if you just mark this candle off right here, mark from the top to the bottom, tick, bud. We are over that 50% line on a weekly basis. So for me, I do have the green light. I would feel comfortable as long as we hold above here. And obviously we have that 55 EMA here. That, let me check on my daily time frame. We do have, obviously this is also a very bullish candle here. This is a Dragonfly Doji, if you're not familiar with what that is. What is a Dragonfly Doji? What does it mean? I'll have a description here at the end of the video. Feel free to clink. But again, I mean, for me, I'm not shorting kind of what's in here. I'm just riding with momentum here. We do have a positive rate of change. There's really nothing telling me that we need to go short. You have all these people saying, go short, go short. On individual names, yes. If you go here to the watch list, there's a lot of names, right? There's winners and losers every day. Which one are you going to pick? You're going to pick Oracle, that's up 3.5%, Google up 3.6%, or you're going to pick QQQ, right? It's down like negative whatever percent. There's also a lot of there's quite a bit of stocks here that lose. A lot of stocks that are just kind of trading and barcoding flat, right? So that's one thing that you guys just need to pay attention to. I'm going to transition now to my AI research. Peace out. Bye, bud. On a SpaceX, the most honest chart in the market right now. Day 1 through 3, euphoria straight up, then a long upper wick at the top, buyers exhausted, and then it began its downfall early since. One of the easiest ways to see this was this big ass wick. We even made us we even had a report here on SOXX saying don't get involved and beware of when you break. If you just slap an anchor VWAP profile in here, right? Get out of the way when you break your IPO VWAP. We literally had an article where we talked about this. And we talked about how SpaceX, right, was exit liquidity for big banks who had a lot of debt, right, who just had record earnings to get out of their positions. We had all these people on Wall Street Bets and all these other places saying, Potzen, I'm down like $200,000 on SpaceX. It's like, man, you just can't help people sometimes. People just don't read the things you put out and people don't get it. Why was SpaceX not a buy? Read the article, watch the YouTube videos. You got to pay attention. So, early July earned a week in the earned a spot in the Nasdaq 100, which they changed its rules, by the way. So normally that's a buying event, right? Well, here the little bump you see, and immediately, right, you see a little bump here. Oh, we get listed in peak euphoria, right? Well, for something so fucking bullish, right? I mean, this just imploded here, right? Then another chop, like a right short over here. I mean, you could argue this is a left. Janky ass left, janky ass head, and I mean, this could be your right here. You try to come back here, you try to, create an inverse here, do whatever you did. Long story short, you got rejected here. And again, normally this is supposed to be a buying event, right? But today it printed fresh new lows, 41.5% below its peak, trading under the offering price with underwriters standing on the sidelines. And understand the game theory here. Institutions that generally want a position in a name like this have every incentive to let it fall. Facebook debit fell the same exact arc before the smart money loaded up at the bottom. And Coinbase ran the same identical script. Fresh listings are the market's truth serum, and this one's telling you the same appetite for risk is now gone. Let's go ahead and pull up Coinbase and Meta for reference. So we have obviously Coinbase here. Then we obviously have Meta here. Just go to like a weekly time frame here. Go to like a weekly time frame here. You go to you might need to go to like a longer time frame here. But I mean, yeah, when you IPO'd, I mean, same graph, same chart here. So I would encourage people to kind of look at this chart here. Obviously here, from your IPO, what did you do? And that's how most stocks are, honestly. I mean, there's a lot of tickers they can pull up. You have to do your own research. We can get into it maybe in another video on the weekends where it's educational. But I mean, again, these stocks do the same thing here, right? So again, smart money's doing what? Waiting, letting it fall here. They always say, right, smart money kind of loads up slowly, and retail just kind of, they just, either rip it up, or they try to at least, they think they are, right, or they just peak it out here, right? But obviously, smart money is letting it fall here. There's no incentive, right, to let this run up.